Let's talk education quickly now, and it's about funding, loans being made available for students in the tertiary institution. When the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board, part of activities or policies and programs of government put in place to ameliorate the suffering that came on the people as a result of removal of petroleum subsidy and what's it called now? The dollar rate, the floating of
the
naira. The president said, well, we're going to see to the students in particular, so that there will be funds for them for the duration of their stay in higher institutions. And yeah, we were shouting, we were happy about that. For those who were hoping they will benefit from the old scheme. But just last week, the ICPC, Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, came out to say the NELFUND, those responsible for the disbursement of the fund, got the sum of 100 billion naira from the Federal Republic of Nigeria and have expended about 28 billion naira, and that the balance of 71 billion naira was missing. That story was everywhere, but on Sunday, the managing director of NELFUND, Akitunde Soya, had the opportunity of appearing on a TV program where he cleared the air on the money. And according to him, we were even talking about 100 billion naira. He said no. In the coffers of NELFUND is 203 billion naira, and out of the 203 billion naira, 54 billion naira have been disbursed to about 293,000 Nigerian students who have benefited from this. But then he was also quick to note that, yes, while the issue of 71 billion naira stolen, not missing, stolen isn't true, there are cases that they are also investigating. A case of universities or higher institutions in the country who have failed to refund students of higher institution who, before NELFUND paid for their tuition fee, had already gone ahead to pay, even though they have approval. I mean, they applied for NELFUND and they were cleared to be beneficiaries of the loan scheme, but the loans didn't come in time. So those students were forced to raise funds elsewhere to pay their tuition fee. And having done that, and NELFUND now reimbursed or rather pay the institutions. That's double payment from the student and from NELFUND. But those institutions, about 30 of them, he said, were startling when it comes to refunding those students back their money. Those students who have applied and have been cleared to be beneficiaries of this fund realize that there's a need for them to pay their tuition where they were waiting for NELFUND to help pay the bills. NELFUND's fund wasn't forthcoming, and those students will be denied access to lecture room, access to learning facilities in their various universities, and like I said earlier, looked elsewhere to raise the needed fund to pay. Now those students have paid so that they won't miss the lecture period or any part of the lecture session. Now NELFUND had paid the institution. Usually NELFUND don't pay students directly except for their stipends, their upkeep. But when it comes to tuition fee, the institutions are paid directly. Now, for you to refund those students who had paid, you are taking time to refund those monies. But he said investigation is on. They will look at it. It could be more than 30 institutions, but from the preliminary findings, about 30 institutions are guilty of this. And our old man, Issa Onilu, the DG National Orientation Agency, had also spoken concerning this issue. I mean, smells rat.
Well, I think it was reasonably clear that a number of the tertiary institutions involved had cut some corners. because I think before the ICPC became part of it, various student bodies, culminating the National Association of Nigerian Students, had complained that it appears that universities are playing a game they don't like. Or, well, they said, what Nance said was that some vice chancellors and rectors should be probed for their management of NELFUND funds. And for me, I think it has been for quite some time, the idea of funding of students' education has suffered. And interestingly, that NELFUND is one of the campaign promises that the president made. I remember during the campaign here, he specifically said it in Yoruba. What he said was Emma Kawenyi, and that was the time when all kinds of statements were going on about the president, when he mistakenly made a mistake in the number of years that you are supposed to spend in school. But anyway, I think so far, just about a week or two ago, I learned that some 50 billion had been released for ASU matters. So this NELFUND is less than 2 years old. So it is one of those...
Less than a year old, about 11 months old.
Aha, you see?
Just about 11 months.
If the president has failed in bringing compressed natural gas to Nigerian motorists, he has succeeded in providing funds to almost 250,000 Nigerian students. I think that is quite impressive. More than 500,000 applied, and close to half of that number were able to get what they applied for. So that means that the dropout rate in the Nigerian tertiary education system has reduced so far. Should reduce, yes, that is the objective. And when you think of the fact that this is not the first time, well, for a very long time we have always had the Nigerian Students Loans Board, but this one is working and we are seeing it. The first clip we saw there was about the explanation of the process which had taken place earlier, including the MD of the thing, Akintunde Soya, explaining the workings. Initially, when it first came out, I think there were a number of complications in accessing their website, opening portals and things like that. They now held this process to bring it closer to the people.